Well, hello. Welcome to another Guild Wars 2 developer guide. My name is Karl McLain, and I'm here today, and we're going to talk about the Thief just a little bit. Some background on me. I play the Thief quite a bit. It's one of the characters I enjoy playing in PvE a lot. I tend to not use, I would say, typical meta-style builds, but I do enjoy creating my own and making and just kind of making my having fun with it. So today we are gonna go through and we're gonna go and play with the Thief just a little bit. All right, let's jump on in. I'm going to the Keswick Hills, where I've got my brand new Thief. He's actually level 20. So
Hey, I need your help.
thought we'd go and talk about just a little bit about how to build a Thief, how I build my Thief in early levels. So first of all, it's you got to figure out your play style. And my play style, I tend to like to work with attrition style builds, and I like to work with survivability. If I have to watch my health and instantaneously react. If it's a life or death situation, it's in PvE. It's a little bit hard for me to have that sort of play style. So what I like to do is proactively attrition enemies down. And that being said, I use condition style builds early levels on the Thief. So what all does that entail? So first of all, I like to you got to choose a weapon set. And the weapon sets I like for PvE are Pistol Dagger, Dagger, and the short bow is one of the ones that I use quite a bit. Let's see here. So, and it's the style, the kind of gear that I pick up, generally I'll take up condition damage stuff. And I just bought this stuff off of the consignment merchant just a little bit ago. And it's just basically all condition damage. So, and then this one here, and I'll use a short bow for mobility and things like that. So a Thief, in leveling up, I like to take a short bow, and taking Infiltrator Sigint, roll for initiative, caltrops, and when I'm leveling up, I do a lot of map travel. So I will go through and I will complete every heart that I possibly can, and then I'll go and I'll just basically try to map complete an entire map, and that's basically the way I used to level up. When it comes to combat, though, so using the short bow, you can get around quite easily. You have to regenerate initiative often, but it helps you get around quite a bit. One of the things that I don't have just yet, is a skill that I like to use, but I don't have it. I don't have enough points yet. That is called Infiltrator Sigint, and that is the one that gives you 25% move speed and allows you to move around the map quite a bit easier. Let's see here. All right, so since I don't have that, I'm going to be a bit slow today, and so I'm going to do a little bit of combat here. When I engage in combat as a Thief, I like to use AoE. Stuff like caltrops, and if you're feeling attrition-y and a little bit brave, using your short bow for your area effect stuff, you have a natural combo in using your choking gas and your cluster bomb. And in addition to that, you can pick and choose your heals. So with the pistol and dagger playstyle, you're going to use stealth quite a bit, and you can use your sneak attack shots. Uh-oh, I'm going to dodge some cannonballs. Dodge! Alright, so here we go. We got some enemies right here. And there are multiple dudes, so I don't think I'm going to be able to simply... Actually, I'm kind of nervous. They might just kill me. Let's go find some single ones right now. Tamini warriors. So you're going to use your cloak and dagger, to use your sneak attack ability, which has a lot of bleed attacks on it. You do some dodging back. You want to make sure you don't take all that much damage, just in case you get some adds. And I always dodge towards safe positions, not the. I don't try to dodge into other enemies. One of the next thing I can do. So that's just like a small, like one-on-one style of combat. You can do things. You can do fun things like where's single target enemies? Let's go for that trampler over there. You can do cool stuff like get him to charge me. Let's go, buddy. All right, you got a cloak and dagger. You're gonna get a sneak attack, shadow strike, steal right to him again, shadow strike again, and get some torment going on that guy, and make him chase me. Another cloak and dagger, and he's dead. And it's just some simple stuff, some simple attack combinations. You can change it around as you please. One of the ways you can stay alive easier is by using the Sigint of Malice. And Sigint of Malice says that it heals when you attack. And your attacks include things like, let's go over to I'm going to get rid of my pistol dagger setup right now. I'm going to go over to the short bow. So, this choking gas, every time it hits an enemy, it counts as an attack. Your cluster bomb, anytime that hits an enemy, counts as an attack. If you like explode your cluster bomb and in the middle of a fight, all those attacks count as an attack. So, and every time your caltrops ticks, it's going to count as an attack. So what I like to do is I like to try to take on multiple enemies sometimes. As a thief, it's totally doable. You're going to lay your caltrops down. You're going to use your choking gas. Let's just let it beat on me for a little bit. So you can sustain yourself pretty well by just simply getting your attacks off. Die, Siege Master. All right. Wonder if we can kill this. No, that'll take too long. All right. Next up, using your stolen items. Stolen items are really beneficial for the thief, and they can oftentimes just change the way you actually play your character. So right now, I just stole a throw gunk, and that's going to make it. And so this item is a combo field. It's an ethereal combo field. Oh no, getting attacked. Let's jump over here. Let's lay down some of those caltrops. And so an ethereal combo, and what else? The other thing it does is it deals conditions every second. So I can throw this down, use the cluster bomb to blast in it, and let the conditions work on it really well. Oh, I got another gunk. Uh-oh. Dodge roll. Run away! Run away! I just got blasted away. That was no good. Alright, so I'm going to reset the combat just a little bit. I use my roll for initiative instead of for combat to escape. So I noticed I got knocked down right there and had to react right away because it was going to kill me. So, let's see. What else do we have here? Other than that, let's see. Next up, you have a dagger set. So when I play in PvE, I like to use dagger, so I can use Leaping Death Blossom. And Leaping Death Blossom will apply a bleed every hit on up to, I believe, 3 targets. So and it works really well with Sigint of Malice. Let's go and not try to pull the entire area. Let's go Sharpshooter. In addition, dagger can be used for both condition and power style builds. I'm gonna throw this. Hey. But since I like to use conditions, I'm gonna play it as a condition style, and I'm gonna use my Leaping Death Blossom as often as I can. My number 1, the third strike, is called. I'm not sure what it's called, but I have to get out of combat. But it applies poison on your third attack. See, like that. So you can use Leaping Death Blossom and keep them poisoned. And so like that way, if they start healing or have any sort of like restorative properties, you can actually shut that down with using your just number 1 spam on them. That guy didn't fight at all. All right. And then you can use your short bow to just run away again. Huh. One of the things that's necessary for the thief at low levels is that they don't have a whole lot of initiative control. So like your Infiltrator Sigint is basically the only thing you get to like help your initiative at the beginning. Roll for initiative is something you get a little bit later. No, you get it early. I usually get the Infiltrator Sigint first because that just helps generally increase your damage per second and lets you fight more often. So other than that, that's pretty much the only thing you have. Like your roll for initiative and Infiltrator Sigint, those are pretty much the only 2 things you have to actually control your initiative. So you have to be careful, which means that you have to spend your initiative wisely, and you have to judge when it's good to get out of combat, because you can't always sustain combat forever. Being as I'm level 20, I have a few trait points to spend. So let's go. Oh no, I forgot to get my book before this. Well, let's go over to Lion's Arch. Where are you, Lion's Arch? There it is. And yes, I don't have to take this direct route, but I'm going to do it. So for early level trait choices, you have a few routes to go. You can go either into the Trickery line. You can go into the... Well, I'll wait until I get my trait book. Fail, Karl.
Never leave a wrong.
Show me your manuals.
Goodbye.
All right. That should do it. So we have Trickery, Acrobatics, Shadow Arts, Critical Strikes, Deadly Arts. It's a matter of determining what is the immediate thing that will prove to be the most useful. For me, using Kleptomaniac, actually, as soon as you use Steel, it'll restore 3 initiative to you. So this is it's a pretty good initiative control, and it also decreases your rate of Steel by only 10%. So I'm going to put 5 points in there now, and it goes down to 33 seconds instead of 35. It's not a whole lot, but further up the line, it gets a lot better, and you have Sleight of Hand, which also reduces Stealing recharge by 20%. You end up with about a 21-second recharge on Steel. I'm just going to go all into the Trickery line right now, because it's got my favorite trait in the Trickery line, which is Uncatchable. Leave behind caltrops when you dodge. So when I dodge now, I'm going to leave behind caltrops, and they don't last very long. But it's another way to but it'll snare your enemy and bleed them every second. So it's just another way to get some of that attrition damage out. And so that's that. Other ways you can go into the trait lines, you can go for Expeditious Dodger and gain Swiftness on Evade. That's not bad. In your Shadow Arts line, I would actually recommend Shadow Arts just a little bit later, though it does have some good traits in it for like Infusion of Shadow, where it says gain 2 initiative when using a skill that stealths you. It'll help with your Cloak and Dagger and your backstabs. Like if you're a power build, Cloak and Dagger and backstab really helps out there, so you can use it more often and get more damage out. Shadow's Embrace is also really good. If you're going up against conditions quite a bit, you'll want to use Shadow's Embrace, which removes 1 condition every 3 seconds while in stealth. And that'll help quite well once you get a few of your stealth skills. Like if you start using Hide in Shadows, which immediately removes regeneration, or removes burning, poison, and bleeding. So any other conditions that are left over will be removed shortly afterward. Let's see here. The Critical Strikes line. I really like the pistol mastery. If I'm leveling up as pistol build and I want to go a little bit into damage, pistol mastery really gets a lot of bang for your buck, because it's a 10% damage increase. So you can do things like stack might and stack power, and that pistol mastery really works well off of it. Other things, initiative control is one of the things I tend to use quite a bit early levels, because it's just, you don't have a whole lot of it, and you don't have a whole lot of damage. Critical damage and other damage comes in later in the game for you. So with that, I'm going to switch on over to my other thief. There we go. I want to show you all my characters now. Let's load us some Lion's Arch. All right. So this is my level 80 thief. It's just it's not fully geared at the moment, but I'm going for a more carry-on style of build. And what we have here right now is I'm using Infiltrator Sigint still. I was doing some PvP or PvE in ore just recently, and I wanted to get a lot more movement out of my short bow. I'm using Signet of Shadows and Caltrops still, and I have Signet of Malice. I use the Thieves Guild quite a bit so when I have to take on veterans or something like that, or champions, it helps with adding entities into the fight. Let's go down to ore. Oh, come on. There we go. I'm probably just fighting here, but I'll go over my builds. So as a thief at level 80, you have multiple options. You have you're very good at direct damage. So you'll see a lot of thieves use their dagger main hand and dagger offhand for cloak and dagger backstab kills. You'll see them use dagger pistol because you can use your blind fields with smoke shot with your black powder. So black powder into Heartseeker will then get you a backstab right out of it. I'm going to switch back. All right. Now, I'm particularly building this thief for World vs. World, where I'm going to use an attrition style of carry-on build with power damage and condition damage, along with good survivability, in order to try to pick off stragglers that are assisting Zergs and stuff like that. But this really works. This style of build also works well in PvE. So let's see what we're going to use. I really like Ambush Trap. In fighting, like if I'm just going to get in a fight with multiple dudes at once, you can call in your Thieves Guild plus an Ambush Trap, and they'll pretty much eat everything alive. Oh no, I'm feared. I'm using my uncatchable, so I'll stand next to the enemy and hit them and just dodge right next to them, so it hits them with Caltrops. Once again, I'm not like fighting a whole lot here. I'm just throwing out how the combat works for me. I use Signet of Malice when I'm fighting when I know I'm going to be constantly fighting. Otherwise, hide in shadows when I'm trying to like just move around the map. Because that way, if you get caught by multiple enemies that like pull you or something like that, you can use hide in shadows and run away. Stolen item here. I really like the Coral Shard myself. It's 6 stacks of bleeding. Very strong for a carry-on build. So what I actually have right now is I'm just using a bunch of carry-on gear with Runes of the Undead, so I have a lot of condition damage, and my toughness is also transferred over to condition damage. So it gives me quite a pretty good advantage against enemies overall. Let's see. Other things, other builds you can use. So my build right now is 0, 0, 20, 20, 30. I'm using Shadow's Embrace for clearing conditions when they get on me. Hidden Thief, which says steal stealths me for a short period of time. I'm using Vigorous Recovery. It says I get vigor when I use a heal skill. It's really strong. This thing is really strong. 10 seconds of vigor, which allows you for more dodges and more caltrops on the ground. Quick Recovery says you gain 2 initiative every 10 seconds, which is it couples really well with the Infiltrators. Sorry, where is it? Yeah, Infiltrator Sigint. My bad. And then the Acrobatics line also has Feline Grace in it, which returns some of the endurance you've used while dodging. So if I dodge, my meter is immediately restored just a little bit. So you'll use your heal to gain that vigor, and then dodge, and then Feline Grace restores some, then you keep dodging. You can get quite a few dodges off. Other than that, let's see. I really like the Trickery line. It's got condition damage, and it's got your steel recharge rate in it. So along with Kleptomaniac, it also gives you Preparedness, which increases your maximum initiative by 3, and then Lead Attacks, which increases your damage by 1% per initiative. So you have quite a bit of initiative here. You get a decent amount of damage with it, and which helps towards your overall power and like your damage dealt. Sometimes you'll run into enemies that actually are immune to conditions, so you have to work around that by figuring out how to deal damage to them straight up. My major traits, I use Uncatchable still. Sometimes I'll switch this out for Thrill of the Crime. And Thrill of the Crime says when you steal, you and all nearby allies gain Fury, Might, and Swiftness for 10 seconds. It's really good damage, a good damage gain for your entire team. Flanking Strikes is great if you're using a DPS style build, like if you're using Dagger for some backstabs, or Pistol Dagger for Heartseeker backstab combos. Instinctual Response is something that you can take if you're fighting. I usually use this one in World vs. World or PvP. I don't use it a whole lot in PvE, but it is there. And then Merciful Ambush is stealth yourself and your target for 2 seconds when reviving an ally. And this one is good when you're in like dungeons and stuff like that. So if an ally goes down, you go and stealth them for 2 seconds while you resurrect them. Works pretty well. Long range increases this range on stealing. This is one I tend to use more on World vs. World than anything else. But in PvE, some PvE situations, it's useful too. Let's see. Next one is Bountiful Theft. I use Bountiful Theft in my build because it's more vigor for you. Stealing grants you and nearby allies vigor for 15 seconds. Up to 2 boons are also ripped from your target and granted to nearby allies. So this means that if you're fighting like those pesky dredge guys, you can steal their boons from them and hit them back with them. In addition, it's more vigor for you and your allies. Other things in this line are Initial Strike. Attacks with the first weapon skill have a 7% chance to regain 1 initiative. And this is good. I consider this better for things like the dagger itself, because it's got rapidly hitting abilities. So Double Strike, Wild Strike, and Lotus Strike all hit fairly quickly. Though your sneak attack, I think it has some chance to actually gain your initiative back. Trickster, tricks recharge 20% faster, which this is pretty good for caltrops if you want to use that more. Caltrops has a long duration already, it's 10 seconds, and it's usually up by the time you need it again, so I tend to not take this one as much. And then Ricochet. Pistol shots have a 50% chance to bounce to an additional target. This is something I will take. I don't take this one too often, because it's more like it's only going to bounce between 2 targets, and I might as well just be using a short bow instead. So, onto that. After that, onto some Grandmaster Traits. I use Sleight of Hand, which stealing also dazes your target for 1 second and reduces the steel recharge by 20%, which takes it down to 21.5 seconds. If you have any boon duration, which I have 20%, that means that your Bountiful Theft is going to give you vigor for about 18 seconds or so. Yes, so the question is that, does lead attack affect conditions or direct damage only? And it is direct damage only. Let's see, the other option here is Hasten Replenishment. in the Grandmaster line, and it says you receive 4 initiative when you use a healing skill. And so this is something you want to use more like if you're using a skill like Withdrawal. Withdrawal has a 15-second cooldown, so that means you're going to get 4 initiative back every 15 seconds if you use it off of cooldown. Same with Signet of Malice, although I wouldn't recommend it with Signet of Malice because the whole goal of this ability is to keep it off of cooldown and keep your attacks going. Although I do enjoy it with Hide of Shadows. As far as DPS builds go, I would recommend going more along the lines of 30 into the critical strikes line for Executioner. This one says it deals 20% extra damage when a target is below 50% health. It's really strong when you're using it against, like in dungeons and stuff like that. When your team is working on DPSing things down as fast as you can, it really ramps up the damage when they reach that 50% threshold. First strikes, 10% increased damage when initiative is over 6. This one works actually pretty well with the trickery line. And you get to keep your initiative at a high level and gain that bonus damage quite often. In terms of other builds, one of my favorites is actually, I'm going to go respec my traits just for this. Off to Lion's Arcs we go. This is one of my favorite supports builds for the Thief is using Venomous Aura and Leeching Venoms. Venomous Aura says I share my venoms with nearby allies. It's a smaller radius. It's about a 240 radius for the sharing, but each time your ally attacks with a venom, yes, I'd like to retry my traits. I'll pay. Yes. All right. So this build, I actually like Scale Venom. I like sometimes Spider Venom is good. Devour Venom is pretty good. It's really a matter of choice here. Use Basilisk Venom, and I usually leave room for like a stun breaker, like Roll for Initiative or Shadow Step. Shadow Refuge is pretty good. Since you're a team supporter, you want to do that. I'm not going to worry about the weapon skills right now. Let's just say I have a short bow. All right, with this, I like to use. So this one has a very specific build, and that you want the maximum amount of venom stacks. So you're going to use Residual Venom as a 30-point Grandmaster. You're going to go over here and you're going to use your Quick Venoms, which reduces the recharge of Venoms. Then you're going to go over, and you can take Mug if you want. It deals damage and also heals you just a little bit if you want to stay alive just a little bit longer. Venomous Strength grants a large amount of might it grants 2 stacks of might for 20 seconds apiece. So if you're activating this quite often, you have a lot of might available to you. Let's see here. Next, I use Leeching Venoms. Leeching Venoms is great. And it says you steal life from your enemies when you strike them with a venom. And I'll use, in addition, I like Infusion of Shadow for this build, though I still really like Shadow's Embrace. And on top of that, usually I go with Uncatchable or Thrill of the Crime. So with Thrill of the Crime, I get a little bit of extra group support with that. And that's pretty much about it. Let's go back to ore. I'm spending so much money today. I'm gonna be poor. There's ore. Is that where we want to go? Where were we? We were here. Let's go fight some dudes. All right. Let's pretend I have allies here. I'm going to actually equip my Thieves Guild. So, Basilisk Venom here, it turns your next attack turns your foes to stone. And if you have the Residual Venom, it means your next 2 attacks will turn your foe to stone. Which means if you spread it amongst 5 allies and you time it out just right, you can get about 10 seconds of Petrify on any one target. But we're going to use Thieves Guild just so I can play with Venoms just a little bit more. I'm going to use some Ice Drake Venom too. Choo. Cannons, you're making this too easy. Let's go.
On my mark. Attack.
Let's get this guy. So you cast your Thieves Guild. And you say, go for it, guys. And your Leeching Venoms all pop up here. And it's a really fast kill. Let's go over here. Attack this guy now. So every time I hit him, I'm actually dealing about 341 extra damage because of these Venoms. And the Venoms can't stack with one another. Oh yeah. But they do if you rotate them, it's a lot easier to actually get that damage out from the Leeching Venoms. Oh, come on, I don't want to fight in there. Don't shoot missiles at me. Run away. Oh. All right. So. Yeah, you'll notice that every time I get a Leeching Venom off there, it hits about 343 damage, which is really pretty strong amount of damage, and it heals you for about that much as well. So, with that said, I think we're about done for the day. Thank you for joining me on my tour of how I'm playing a Thief these days. And I will see you guys in PvP, PvE, and World vs. World all over the place. Till next time. Actually, what do we have next time? On the 11th, Roy and I are going to be getting together, and we're going to show you some cool things that are coming out with the next balance update. So be sure to tune in then. We'll see you guys next time.